4 p.m. meeting for the Comox Valley Regional District Board, and recognizing that we are meeting on the traditional unceded territories of the Comox First Nation. And there is an in-camera meeting, if somebody would like to speak to that.
Move it.
Second.
Director Frisch.
Yeah, okay. I'll move that the board adjourn to an in-camera session pursuant to the following subsections of the community charter: 91A, personal information about identifiable individuals who hold or is being considered for a position as an officer, and so on; and 91E, the acquisition or disposition or expropriation of land or improvements. And finally, that the in-camera portion convene immediately following the open portion.
Second.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And we need an adoption of the minutes for the board from August 27th. Excellent. Any questions or comments regarding the August 27th minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Next, we have the CVRD pesticide and herbicide use. Somebody? Sure.
I'll second that.
Okay. And are there any questions? Does staff want to speak to this at all? We're good?
Questions?
All right. Seeing no question. Oh, Director Grieve.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see they're trying to substitute the word synthetic herbicides. And my understanding, maybe not so much herbicides, but pesticides, some of the organic ones are some of the most potent, like pyrethrins, and that actually comes from the African daisy, is an organic substance, but it's still very effective at killing little beasties. So I just wonder what prompted the change to synthetic, because it's kind of a term that's, you know, it's open to interpretation. I mean, what's synthetic? A lot of things that are synthetic actually are derived from organic compounds. So what's up?
Director Hamir.
I can speak to it because I actually asked for that kind of wording. So in the organic sector, anything that kills an insect is an insecticide. So even soap, even though we think of it as a natural compound, when it's used specifically to kill something, then it's a side. So synthetic pesticides refer to those that are chemically derived. That are not naturally derived, like the pyrethrins you were just talking about. So that still enables staff to use the naturally derived ones. For example, we were talking about in our earlier discussions the use of acetic acid, like vinegar, which is a natural, insecticide. So we didn't want to curtail staff's ability to use those types of compounds that don't accumulate in the environment and have a lower toxicity. What we were specifically thinking about were the ones that are chemically derived, like glyphosate, 2,4-D, and the list that goes on. So rather than listing everything that is chemically derived, we just said allow the ones that are not synthetic.
All right. Hopefully that clears that question up. Any further questions or comments? I see Director Arbour.
I was just going to note, I think we move receipt, but I see that to be approved, so I'm not sure if it's an actual motion to approve this new policy.
Well, and I wasn't sure if we were just getting on the table to discuss it, and then we can sort of move a motion afterwards. So we can call a question at any point, but Director Grieve.
I won't belabor it, but you have to remember that a lot of these compounds originally were organic-based, and some of the most deadly poisons out there are organic poisons.
Excellent. See no further questions or comments. All those in favor of receipt? Any opposed? That passes. And there's the motion. Somebody would like to? Director Arbour.
I'll move that the amended pesticides use on Comox Valley Regional District property policy as attached to the October 1st, 2019 agenda for the Comox Valley Regional District Board be approved.
Excellent. Any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Next we have our public hearing bylaw 520. And are there any questions, Director Grieve?
If your worship will allow me the latitude here. Yeah, we've got the minutes here from the public hearing, and you know, there's a lot of information, some of it very valid. We have to remember that much like senior government, every time we make bylaws, there are totally unforeseen consequences to those bylaws. Now, I know this has been a long time coming. I'm not going to hold it up, but I do think that that bylaws are made to be amended. And as we go through at a later date, we're going to be amending some of this stuff as we realize that, well, we didn't really mean that. I have personally some issues. If you read some of the comments there, especially from the forest companies.
Do you have a specific page you'd like us to refer to?
Well, there's how many pages in here?
Does the director intend on bringing forward information or discussing or?
I just want to blather on for just a minute. If it
That
could
may
give me that
result in the
latitude.
requirement of another public hearing. Just-
Right.
Oh, okay. But
Right. Good call.
seriously.
No new information?
No new information. I think the information should be digested. I will not stand in the way of moving this forward, but there are some of the rationale here I have issues with. But that being said, in the interest of giving Porton more gray hair, let's move it.
I'm not sure who Porton is, but all those in favor? Director Frisch. Sorry.
No problem, Chair, thanks. I was reading through the public feedback, and two things kind of came up. One was the noise bylaw sort of comment about maybe being overly restrictive, and the other was the effects on housing with people trying to live in their RVs, and so I guess I'm just not really up on the full bylaw, but have those sort of been addressed or considered, the effects this bylaw has, especially on housing? I mean, that's probably the biggest one, to think that we may be putting people on the street. And so I don't know if staff have any comment or people that are considering the bylaw from the areas.
This is a comprehensive review of the regional district zoning bylaw and a zoning bylaw that is quite dated. This comprehensive review has gone over a period of years, and this is now the second term for consideration, with previous public hearings having been held under the previous term. It is a bylaw that is adopted by the rural areas to affect zoning in the rural areas, and it doesn't affect the municipalities.
But we get to vote
well,
on it.
except we do get to vote on it, and it affects the community as a whole. And so I'm not trying to high road or derail this in any way, but just pointing out that there are some major issues that I've also heard about enforcement of people living in RVs. It's problematic at this time. So I just want to share that, and maybe it's one of those amendments that Director Greaves talking about. Thanks.
Thank you, Director.
All right. Director Hamir.
Right. I just wanted to comment that many of the issues that were brought up in the letters that came to us, it may have looked like the bylaw had changed, but the bylaw, what has actually changed is more of a consolidation of zones, and that many of these issues around kitchens, outdoor kitchens, the noise, they were from the previous bylaw. So nothing on that side had actually changed, but I take to the point that we may want to look at some of these and see if there's a way that we can encourage different housing solutions in the rural areas. But just wanted to make sure everyone understood none of that is different from the previous.
Just people became aware of it
Yes,
because they read it.
because it comes up, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I read it, and I didn't know this was it.
Yeah. All right. And, that's it. I see no further lights, so see no further questions. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And next is Black Creek Oyster Bay from September 16th. Excellent. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And there is a recommendation, if somebody would like to read that off. Would you like to read the recommendation, Director Lee?
That the CVRD Board Chair request a meeting with the Honorable Selena Robinson, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, subsequent to the scheduled meeting at UBCM in September 2019 to discuss the third well project for the Black Creek Oyster Bay Water Service Area.
Excellent. Are there any questions or comments? I see Director Grieve.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I wonder if you could maybe give the board a very brief update on the meeting?
Yeah, so we did meet last week at UBCM, and going into it, we sort of thought that we should probably be preparing that we may have to have a bigger meeting in Victoria beyond the speed dating 15 minutes that you get. And they also realized that probably a few minutes in that this was a bigger issue that really couldn't be turn our minds to in a very effective way. And so, so that's basically where that, so they said we need to meet after UBCM and have a more fulsome conversation. So, and there's a recommendation here, but there's also, I'm going to recommend after this, we actually vary the agenda to go to the last item under new business, just for the convenience of Director Lee, but also it's kind of tied
Related.
together.
Yep.
So, so hopefully that makes some sense. But we did receive a letter saying that we should get together and chat. But as I've mentioned to folks around the table, we did offer to go and speak to their board, and were refused that opportunity. So, unfortunately, it puts us in a bit of an impasse. So, so having said that, all those in favor? Any opposed? And thank you, sir. And we'll vary to. Oh, thanks very much. All those in favor of varying the agenda? Any opposed? That passes. And we'll go to H, new business, and there's only one item: Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs and Housing.
Move receipt.
Excellent. And does staff want to speak to this?
Just what the letter is a suggestion that the two regional districts, Strathcona and Comox Valley Regional District, meet and perhaps consider the services of a mediator in that process, for which the province would provide some support. This matter was discussed at the meeting with the minister, and Tara Fagnallo, the Assistant Deputy Minister, was at that meeting as well at that time.
Mm-hmm. And your mic is on, Director Lee.
I'll be voting against this recommendation because it suggests a meeting between the two regional districts to resolve an issue of water supply. The SRD has absolutely no business in the Black Creek Oyster Bay water supply. The jurisdiction for that water supply is the Comox Valley Regional District. The only issue that the SRD has with regards to the third well project is access to the park, the Oyster Bay Nature Park, which is in my area and which is only paid for by my people in Area D. And what this suggests is that they're going to open the door and let Strathcona come in and start throwing their weight around on our Black Creek Oyster Bay water system. The SRD has completely schmozzed up the northern water supply, and I'll be damned if I'm going to allow them to have any jurisdiction or any say over the Black Creek Oyster Bay water supply. They have nothing to do with the water supply. That water supply system has been operated by the Black Creek Oyster Bay Committee for 42 years without a problem. And the only time a problem appears is when they want to try to have us give them water in exchange for access through the park to put in the third well. And I think that's not fair. I think that's not their jurisdiction. And I would rather, I want the third well project to go ahead because it means security for people in Black Creek Oyster Bay for water supply when we have dry summers. It gives them some water security, but I'm not prepared to allow a foreign jurisdiction that has nothing to do with our water supply to start telling us how to run our water supply. And so I don't agree with Tara Fagnello's suggestion. I think it was made prior to our meeting at UBCM.
And this is just for receipt, so.
Yeah, she might have got a different
Yep.
impression after she met with us at UBCM.
Well,
Because I
not
made the
only
same
that, but they
point to
also
her.
extended the grant deadline. So I think that was one of the critical things too, is
Did they
that they
extend
realized
it?
that we have been, I believe they spoke to it.
They acknowledge there is a need to extend it, but
Yes.
we haven't had an extension yet.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
there's a
so-
lot of nodding heads like in a lot of the other meetings, but so hopefully, so they've acknowledged that there's a need for it, and now we just need to
And
see
the
the action on
CVRD
that.
has respectfully requested, I think, 2 or 3 times to speak to the SRD board and to explain to them what this project's about and that we're going to be staying within our water license and it's not going to affect them whatsoever. And they just very obstinately keep demanding that they have a say in our water system, and I just don't agree with that. That's a really slippery slope we're going down if we let them do that. So I'd rather not. I'd rather not.
Thanks for your comments. We have quite a few people that want to speak on this. Director Arbor.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, Dr. Lee, I understand your statement. I was actually looking at this as, though not ideal, what is lacking for me is what your alternative course would be to trying to resolve through a mediation. Because is it to just drop it or status quo? Because that wasn't clear in your statement what you would rather do rather than.
So in the
attempt
previous
something.
motion,
Yep.
there was a request to have a subsequent meeting to
Yeah.
UBCM. So I believe that's the action, is to have a meeting down, to request a meeting with the ministry.
But in answer to Director Arbor's question, my ideal solution would be for the provincial government to stand by the jurisdictions that they created in 2008 by putting Black Creek Oyster Bay's assets and liabilities into the CVRD exclusively. They made that situation, the province did, and we're living by it. And now they're telling us, so go, negotiate with some other regional district that has nothing to do with that water supply. So I would like them, the provincial government, to be clear to the SRD that this is not in their jurisdiction, that they are going to allow us, and they gave that land to the CVRD, that land for both park and water purposes when it was given to the Comox-Strathcona Regional District before it was split. So really, we're within our parameters that the provincial government set for us. And the problem is not ours, the problem is theirs. If they can't resolve it and then they insist that they're going to let Strathcona, hijack 20% of our water out of the BCOB system, I'd rather not do the well. Then take away the blackmail. Take that away.
Right, and I think the other thing, not just around the clarity around that, but actually setting up for easements and access and those kinds of things so that works can be completed in perpetuity. So we're not running into this friction every time works need to be done.
Just a follow-up to the chair this time, if you don't mind. In the discussions at UBCM, so there's talk of mediation, but it sounds like it's almost arbitration that some people would see the province play in this matter. Or I'm just trying, because I know
Yeah.
this is an old issue of a few years.
Yeah,
so-
I think there's potential ambiguity in the letters patent. So it's really making sure that the letters patent are
Yep.
clearer and really spell out rights and expectations. And
Yeah, that's just it. It's the issue that we're raising with the minister is the letters patent are flawed because they create this situation where the authority having jurisdiction over the water is not able to act in the interests of the water and the service area.
Okay.
and I think the intentions were good and there was sort of a good neighbor policy where works were being done, test wells were being put in, and those things were kind of going right along. And then all of a sudden there was a brick wall, and so it's how do we negotiate that brick wall?
Right.
And just again going back, our hands are tied to the letters patent, which unfortunately because the park is only in Director Lee's electoral area, the full board
Yeah,
gets
I
to vote
understand.
on it, and
Yep.
and so for people who are new at this table, that can be a little discombobulating in terms of how that power shift can happen. So, yeah. Did you have a further comment? Director Grieve.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This has been a long running now, 2.5 years or more. I don't think it's being done in good faith. I have to say that I do somehow agree with Director Lee in that by recognizing the CRD's position, we give credence to their view of the jurisdictional issue. So there is that, whether or not we put ourselves in any legal binding by acknowledging this. But all that being said, we're just receiving the letter. There's no action item on this. So I am going to be voting for it. But I do think we had an aha moment at the meeting at UBCM because obviously ministers are not always totally aware of what their staff already know.
And of course, this was done by a previous government. But if nobody else has anything further to say, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes. So Director Lee, if you want, you can stay and watch, but we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program.
Thank you very much for having me and putting up with having to listen to this water thing again. But, you know, it could all go away. We could just ignore it and it'll go away. But I don't know if ignoring it is a good thing to do for the BCOB system.
Well, and we're not ignoring. We passed a motion to request a subsequent meeting from the one at UBCM. So we are moving forward on this file. And you know, at this point, unfortunately, it's pretty much in the hands of the province. So first of all, hopefully they extend the grant, because at this point, there's no way to get the works done, even if we could tomorrow. There's not enough time to actually have the works completed. And beyond that, this may not be resolved for some time. But obviously time is of the essence for those of us that are getting emails from the BCOB residents that are extremely concerned with the drought conditions that we have, to have this extra access to water, not an increase in a water license, but just the access to the water. And I think that's a key argument, and I think that was articulated by Director Lee. So
Thank you. Okay, see you next time, you guys.
oh, hang on.
There's one more recommendation that Director Lee's entitled to participate in.
Okay, which one was that?
That is under the.
Oh, the
Authority
next one.
Services Committee Recommendation 1.
Well, we might have varied just a little bit too quick. So yeah, we'll go into Electoral Area Service Committee minutes dated September 16th.
We did.
Yep. No, well, not on this minutes here. I'm calling the vote on receipt on the minutes from September 16th. So that's item 3. If somebody would like to move that. Excellent. Thanks very much. That's been seconded. Are there any questions on the minutes? See no questions or comments. All those in favor of receipt? Any opposed? And that passes. And recommendation 1, if somebody would like to read that off, Director Hamir.
Right. Recommend that staff be authorized to apply for 2020 Community Resiliency Investment Grant funding up to the maximum of $25,000 to undertake a community fire smart education program as outlined in the Community Wildfire Protection Plan report dated November 30th, 2018.
Excellent. Are there any questions or comments regarding this item? See none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And next we have recommendation 2, if somebody would like to speak to that. Director Arbor.
Move that the board approve the development variance permit DV8B19 parking to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 3.5 meters to 3.1 meters and to increase the maximum building height from 6 meters to 7.4 meters for a proposed accessory building at 2160 Quenville Road.
All right, and that
the corporate legislative officer be authorized to execute the permit.
Thank you very much. I think that was seconded, if I heard correctly. Any questions regarding this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
I can do another one.
Well, your mic's on.
Move recommendation 3 that the board approve development variance permit DV6C19 on property described as Lot B, Block 29, Comox District, 2310 Macaulay Road, to allow for retaining walls up to 3.5 meters in height within the required side yard setback area. And finally, that the corporate legislative officer be authorized to execute the permit.
Second.
Excellent. Any questions or comments regarding this recommendation? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And recommendation 4.
I'll do one last one. You get the next 3. That the board approve the development permit DP 18C19 on property described as Lot B, Block 29, Comox District, 2310 Macaulay Road, for the development of new commercial industrial buildings with a storage yard, and that the corporate legislative officer be authorized to execute the permit.
Excellent. And I just want to comment, you're doing a great job of consolidating and not having to read off all the stuff, just the important things. I appreciate that. Director Grieve, did you want to speak to this?
Nope.
All right. Your next one up, though, get your finger ready. All right, so all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And recommendation 5.
I'd like to move recommendation 5, that the board approve the Farmland Protection Development Permit, DP 13B19, on the property described as Lot 2, District Lot 162, Comox District Plan 22921. For the construction of an accessory building with a minimum 15-meter setback from the agricultural property and a 3-meter wide vegetative buffer to extend between the rear and the new accessory to the rear of the house. And finally, the corporate legislative officer be authorized to execute the permit.
Excellent. Are there any questions or comments regarding this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And that brings us to recommendation 6.
I'll move 6, that the Comox Valley Regional District Board endorse the communication plan as outlined in Appendix A and the recommended bylaw update information outlined in Appendix B of staff report dated September 4th, 2019, and direct staff to start the external agency referral process for making provisions regarding cannabis in bylaw number 337, being the Rural Comox Valley Official Community Plan. And finally, that the Comox Valley Regional District staff consult with First Nations in accordance with the Referrals Management Program dated September 25, 2012.
Excellent. Any questions regarding that recommendation? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And on to recommendation 8. 7, sorry, I jumped ahead. 7. Who would like to move 7?
Sure.
There.
Recommend that the board consider first, second, and third reading of bylaw number 584, being the Comox Valley Regional District Planning Procedures and Fees bylaw number 328, 2014, amendment number 3, which inserts a procedure and fee relating to cannabis retail referrals.
Been seconded. Are there any questions or comments regarding this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Is that good? Were you looking for 420?
We're trying to hit it.
So close, yet so far away. Recommendation 8.
I'll move 8.
Sure.
That the board consider first, second, and third readings of bylaw number 585, being the Comox Valley Regional District bylaw number 142, 2014, amendment number 4, regarding the applicability of the bylaw to cannabis cultivation within farm buildings.
All right. Any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. On to recommendation 9.
I'll move 9 too. That
Okay.
the limited authority of regional districts to impose requirements on vendors of fireworks, the Comox Valley Regional District resolved not to undertake amendments to the Regional District Fireworks Regulation Bylaw number 1971, 1998 at this time.
Second.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? Just to clarify, what we're saying is that although fireworks are banned in all 3 municipalities, they are still legally for sale in the regional district.
And there's nothing we can do about it.
Well, actually, I think that's what's exactly what you could have done. Director Arbor.
Yes, there was extensive conversation about this at EASC, and it was recognized that the fireworks are for sale for 1 week, I believe, or 10 days, is that right, from at the end of September and October?
Yeah,
Just before Halloween, the 10 days before Halloween. And there was also discussion that many regional districts around us allow the sale, and so people could procure regardless if they were buying here or not. So that's why we sort of decided to recommend keeping the same policy.
Excellent. Well, I'll call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And recommendation 10, Director Frisch, I saw your light.
Yeah, I can do
earlier.
that. Sorry, I was actually just flipping to the minutes because I have a quick question about this. So we're on number 10.
Do you want to go to someone else?
Oh, I got it here for you.
Okay.
I'll move that staff be directed to update the existing Comox Valley Regional District Board policy, transfer of water systems to regional districts to include wastewater systems in its scope and to incorporate current best practices.
Excellent.
And
Are
if-
the- oh, yeah.
And if I could just actually ask for a quick update because I'm not sure I got the information on that.
Sure. And I'll ask Mark Rutten to come forward, General Manager of Engineering Services, to give an explanation or answer any of your questions.
Thanks. Just the Coles notes is fine.
I'm sorry, can you just repeat the question?
Well, I'm just wondering, I couldn't find any information on this in the minutes, and I'm wondering if maybe I've missed
Stems
something.
from Terry's report.
Yeah.
Oh, this is for the policy change to include wastewater systems?
Yes.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, so we took a report to the EASC, and in that report, we discussed the different types of wastewater systems that can be installed in the regional district that are out of the purview of the regional district. They're through Ministry of Environment or through Island Health. And there's many that can be installed, smaller systems through VHA or larger systems through Ministry of Environment. And so we thought that we should develop some policy around this for when those system owners might come forward in the future and ask the regional district to take them over. Right now, we don't have any policy in place. So that's what this was about. So there's a fairly extensive report that that Derry in her department prepared for the electoral area directors just to describe what can happen in the regional district. And often we're asked to take these systems over when they age or become too complicated to operate.
And would that be similar to the development out at Little River a while back? King, I forget what it's called,
yeah,
King Cove?
yeah, very similar, yeah.
Interesting, okay. Well, thanks for that.
You're good, Director Arbor? All right. Seeing no further questions or comments, reminder, this is a vote for everybody now. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And recommendation 11. Director Arbor.
That bylaw number 592 being Hornby Island Comfort Station Future Expenditure Reserve Fund Establishment Bylaw number 592, 2019, be forwarded to the Comox Valley Regional Board for first, second, third readings and final adoption.
So, thanks very much. Comfort Station sounds exciting. Director Kettler.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the director could tell us what the comfort station is.
So basically, we have a service for bringing temporary porta potties to Hornby Island, and mostly in the summer, for the parks. And this will allow to build a bit of a capital reserve for improvements to the porta potties and maybe new facilities over time. Would you like more detail?
That's good.
Is there a tour?
I actually did look it up and I couldn't find that information, so yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for the good question there. Fantastic. Again, this is a vote for all, so all those in favor. Any opposed? That passes. And on to recommendation 12. Director Frisch.
Yeah, I'll move that the 2019 to 23 financial plan and capital expenditure program for the Bain Sound Area B and C Parks and Greenway Service be amended by increasing land improvement expenditures in 2019 for the beach access annual capital projects by $40,000 to support increased costs for the Eagles Drive Beach stairs replacement to be funded by a corresponding further contribution in 2019 from the Parks and Greenway Service Capital Works Reserve 855.
All right. Any questions or comments regarding that? All those in favor? Any opposed? Oh, everyone kept their hands down. Very good. Recommendation 13. Director Grieve.
That the CVRD chair write to the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure regarding the road conditions and safety concerns on Lazo Road between Butchers Road and Gage Road, as generally outlined by the delegation from the Bruce Rooney to the September 16, 2019 Electoral Area Services Committee meeting.
Excellent. And any questions or comments regarding this?
Yeah,
Director Frisch.
I'd take just a quick update. I mean, I've ridden the road, so I know it's rough, but is that the issue?
well, it's the road right away is so narrow.
Yeah.
And there's so much construction with Comox extending in there.
Right.
And even their greenway along Point Homes is going to end abruptly when it hits Area B, and you'll be on your own, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and Director Hamir.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to add to it. It was just a community safety with the shoulders being in really bad condition. People are moving onto the road, and the lanes themselves are actually undersized. So they were saying both that and then visibility coming out of some of the turns was really poor.
Excellent. And I think his last name is Renoir, or maybe something like that. But I could be pronouncing it wrong too. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And next we have Sewage Commission minutes from September 17th. Excellent. Are there any questions regarding that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And then we have the Comox Water Committee, September 17th. Didn't I just say that? Oh, on with sewer. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Sorry. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And we got Committee of the Whole from September 17th minutes. Excellent. And any questions regarding that? All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And then are some recommendations. Recommendation 1, Director Hamir.
Right, I'll move that the new 5-year contribution agreement, 2019 to 2024, for an annual unconditional grant of $20,000 between the Comox Valley Regional District and the Vancouver Island North Film Commission, attached as Appendix A to the staff report dated September 4th, 2019, be approved, and further that the chair and corporate officer be authorized to execute the agreement.
I'll second that.
Excellent. Any questions or comments regarding this? All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And recommendation 2.
Move to.
Director, I missed you by that much. Director Grieve.
Thank you. That the 2019 to 2023 financial plan for the Regional Growth Strategy Service, Function 512, be amended to increase professional fee expenditures by $52,500 in both 2019 and 2020 to be funded by an increase in conditional provincial grant revenues of $52,500 in each of those years as a result of the successful award of $105,000 through the Union of BC Municipalities to support Regional Housing Needs Assessment Project.
Excellent. I think that's fantastic news. I think that was probably, some of the bigger meetings last week with Ministry of Housing. Obviously, there's lots going on in the Comox Valley, but having the data to actually support our arguments, I think we've been successful in the past, but I think being armed with information is going to help us be more successful in the future as well. So any other comments or questions? Director Frisch.
Just super quick, can you remind me when we expect to finish that assessment?
I'll ask Scott Smith to come forward.
We'll be looking to wrap it up by March of 2020. We have awarded it to a consultant, and the TAC committee will be meeting to kick that off shortly.
Well, that's really great, because I know we're hoping to do some stuff in housing in the valley, so that's kind of first steps. So,
Yep.
So we don't do the wrong thing. Thanks.
All right. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And recommendation 3, Director Arbor.
That the 2019-2023 financial plan for the planning service functions 500 and 503 be amended to increase professional fee expenditures by $250,000 in each of 2019 and 2020 to be funded by corresponding increases in conditional federal grant revenues of $250,000 in each of 2019 and 2020 as a result of the successful award of $500,000 from the National Disaster Mitigation Program to support a regional coastal flood mapping project.
Excellent. And does staff want to speak to this? I know we talked about it a little bit at the Committee of the Whole. I think everyone's pretty happy just the fact that this is going to benefit the whole Comox Valley.
And just to say that we are collaborating with our stakeholders, including City of Courtenay, Town of Comox. The data will be available for them. City of Courtenay is doing some work as well as the Comox First Nations.
Excellent. Fantastic.
And
All right.
Islands Trust, too. Yeah,
Excellent.
covers the on-street.
All right. See no further questions or comments. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thanks for the extra people voting. That was just A, B, and C. Recommendation 4, alternate director minions.
I'll move recommendation 4 that the board approve separating the utilities governance topic into discussions focused specifically on water supply system and the sewerage conveyance and treatment system, and further that the board recognize the responsibilities delegated to the Comox Valley Water Committee and the Sewage Commission, and finally that the board consider any further decisions or actions when such actions fall under the responsibility of the CVRD Board of Directors and upon the advice and guidance of the respective committee commission.
Excellent. Are there any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Recommendation 5. Director Frisch.
Yes, I'll move that the proposed framework for improving air quality in the Comox Valley as described in a regional approach to improve air quality and health in the valley, our proposal dated August 2019, be considered at the Comox Valley Regional District Strategic Planning Session in October.
Excellent. Any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes. And alternate director Cole Hamilton.
Move recommendation 6 that the update of the 2014 Comox Valley Transit Future Plan to consider more aggressive mode share targets in order to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and address the climate crisis be considered at the October 2019 board strategic planning process.
And further that. And further that.
Sorry.
It's all good.
And further, the staff be directed to prepare a schedule and work plan for the Comox Valley Transit Future Plan update in consultation with BC Transit and municipal stakeholders. Thanks.
Excellent. It's been firsted and seconded. Any questions or comments regarding this? I know we had some fulsome discussions. All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Next, we have recommendation 7. Director Frisch.
I'll move that the board supports staff in implementing the early actions identified in the Air Quality Framework Report dated September 11th, 2019, and further that staff work with Island Health and the Ministry of Environment to enhance promotion of emission reduction actions during local air quality advisories.
Excellent. Any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Now we're getting into bylaws and resolutions. And Director Arbor.
Now into the real exciting stuff. I can do the next 2 or 3. Recommendation for bylaw number 584, being Comox Valley Regional District Planning Procedures and Fees bylaw number 328-2014, amendment number 3, that bylaw number 584, being Comox Valley Regional District Planning Procedures and Fees bylaw, be given first and second readings concurrently.
Somebody could second that? Excellent. Any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And back to you, Director Arbor.
And further move that bylaw number 584, being Comox Valley Regional District Planning Procedures and Fees bylaw number 328-2014, amendment number 3, be read a third time.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
I'll move the recommendation for bylaw number 585, being Comox Valley Regional District Building bylaw number 142-2011, amendment number 4, that bylaw number 585, being the Comox Valley Regional District Building bylaw number 142-2011, amendment number 4, be given first and second readings concurrently.
It's been seconded. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
I'll move that bylaw number 585, being the Comox Valley Regional District Building bylaw number 142-2011, amendment number 4, be read a third time.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes.
I'll do one more. Recommendations for bylaw. Move that recommendation for bylaw number 586, being Comox Valley Sewerage Service Future Expenditure Reserve Fund Establishment bylaw number 586-2019. That bylaw number 586, being Comox Valley Sewerage Service Future Expenditure Reserve Fund Establishment bylaw number 586-2019, be given first and second readings concurrently.
Excellent. And all those in favor? All right, hands going up. Any opposed? It's a different one.
I was almost going to propose a change of name of that bylaw.
Yeah.
It's so long. And
One-
for-
and- yeah.
and I'll further move that bylaw number 586 being the Comox Valley Sewerage Service Future Expenditure Reserve Fund Establishment bylaw number 586 2019 be read the third time.
All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
I'm done.
Excellent. And just for, I know we're moving relatively fast, but the recommendation and the first line are pretty much identical except for the other one says that in the beginning, and then first, second, and third readings, et cetera. So we can probably dispose with the title. And Director Hamir.
Right. I'll recommend that bylaw number 592, being the Hornby Island Comfort Station Future Expenditure Reserve Fund Establishment bylaw number 592, 2019, be given first and second readings concurrently.
Excellent. Any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
And I'll move that bylaw number 592 be read a third time.
Daniel's like, oh, wow, that was fast. All those in favor, we did. Any opposed? And nobody's opposed. So fantastic. I think everyone's like, yeah, we're getting better every time. And Director Hamir, are you going to continue?
I'll do, sure. That bylaw 520 being the rural Comox Valley zoning bylaw number 520, 2019 be read a third time.
Excellent. And are there any questions or comments regarding that? See none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes.
And then I'll move that bylaw number 587 being the Comox Valley Regional District Property Tax Exemption bylaw number 587, 2019 be finally adopted.
Second.
Excellent. And any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Director Frisch, there we go.
Yeah, I'll move that bylaw number 588 being the Comox Valley Regional District Property Tax Exemption number 588, 2019 be finally adopted.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. Director Grieve.
No, that's okay.
Oh, okay. Alternate Director Minions.
I'll move the recommendation for bylaw number 590, being Comox Valley Water Supply System Bulk Water Rates, bylaw number 190-2011, amendment number 4, be finally adopted.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? And that passes. And we already did the new business. I don't think we have any new business. Excellent. All those in favor going in camera? Any opposed? And that passes. Whew. Jeez.